Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
In game one of this day-night doubleheader, in a scoreless game in the fifth, Brandon Phillips a 3-run home run, and the Reds a 3-0 lead, and that's all been enough for Johnny Cueto. A complete game for the third time this year, his second shutout, a 3-hitter for Cueto. Reds win the opener 5-0. So now we turn the page on that one, and we arrive in game two, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. The Padres and the Reds in the rubber game of this 3-game series. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Alongside Jim Day with us as well. I'm Tom Brenneman, and it's great to have you with us. I think I said that once already.
That's all right. It's
the
good
Reds.
to be with both of you.
Thank you. It is good to be both of you. Johnny Cueto, now you know what you're going to get with Johnny Cueto, and it's what we've seen all year long. Now with Jeff Francis at one time, a highly touted pitcher with Colorado. That's a number of years ago, but here in the second game, he's brought back to the major league.
Well, Jeff Francis's game is really breaking balls, changeups, keeping the hitter off balance, and if he's on his game, it means the Padres are going to be very aggressive up there, because the more aggressive the hitter, the better Francis likes it. He'll pitch quickly, he gets the ball and goes. You see what his record is down there in Louisville. Remember, he was with the Reds in 2012 and eventually opted out in a minor league deal, signed later that year with the Colorado Rockies, but he's a very capable left-hander. If he finds the corners with his stuff, he should be okay.
Meanwhile, tell us about Tyson Ross, who entered on the mound for San Diego.
He's another big guy. Francis is 6'5". Tyson Ross is 6'6". Tyson Ross throws an excellent sinking fastball and a great slider. In fact, he loves that slider so much. That is his pitch of preference to just about anybody, right-handed or left-handed. His last 2 games have been very good. 7 innings, only 2 runs in each of those ball games. In fact, he has pitched for the Padres into the 6th inning in every ball game he's taken the ball this year. So Tyson Ross, a guy that they got out of Oakland after he ran his record horrible over there, he's pitched pretty well for Buddy Black and company.
Plenty more to come when we return as we wind our way towards the first pitch in game 2 of this twin bill closing time. Jim Day has that story in just a moment.
Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Here's a question for you. Can Cueto pitch the second game too? What an outing. Maybe we can take two. A little bit cool at the ballpark. In the 50s, dropping down into the 40s, but I think the rain stays away. Get him on. Get him over. Get him in. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
Jim Day on the field. You know, I have a pretty easy job, but there are some hindrances. Very nice fake there. Matt Latos, every game wants to throw seeds on me. We were ready for him today, and wow, touche. Came back with the fake job. Very nicely done. All right, let's talk about our IGS Energy bringing the heat. And I tell you what, the Cincinnati Reds, they hope these numbers stand up because the best record in series closing games this year. The Reds right now with an 8-4 record. That is fourth best in the National League, or Major League Baseball, I should say. 10-16 in every other game. So if they can close it out and get a series victory and get on that plane and get to D.C., that'll be just like we like it. That's your IGS bringing the energy feature on Fox Sports Ohio. One down, a victory, and hopefully one to go. It's the back end of a day-night doubleheader. Reds and Padres coming up.
Local Ford dealer. Ford Go Further by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By AT&T, mobilizing your world. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Well, a good start to this Thursday afternoon, May the 15th for the Redlegs behind Johnny Cueto's 3-hit shutout. Winners in Game 1 of this day-night doubleheader. 5-0 in Game 1. So now Bud Black, his team at 19 up, 22 down. The Padres batting order reads as follows. The one-time Red, Kristen Orphy in right field. Cabrera at short, Chase Headley in a 3-hole down at third. Carlos Quinton, Jed Jerko, Cameron Maben in the middle. Rene Rivera will do the catching. Yonder Alonso down in the number 8 spot against the left-hander Francis. And Tyson Ross on the mound and making his debut as a Cincinnati Red at the big league level is left-hander Jeff Francis.
Well, you see the numbers that he had last year. That was when he was with the Rockies. He signed there, and he went 3-5 with a 6.2 earned run average. 33 years old now, big guy, 6 feet 5 inches tall. Originally drafted by the Rockies out of University of British Columbia in Vancouver.
Denorfia swings and fouls it out of play, and so far so good for Francis. Ahead, no balls and 2 strikes.
You're going to see him hopefully pepper the strike zone. Not a lot of strikeouts, but just kind of get that ball and work fast. Try to keep the pace of the game going and use the good defense the Reds have behind them.
0-2 on Denorfia, and just off the outside corner. Not only was Francis originally drafted by Colorado, he was a first-round pick in June of 2002, the 9th selection in the country of that year's draft. Check swing and a miss, and Denorfia gone to begin the game. Of course, Francis came up with Colorado in 2004, only 2 years after being drafted. Got 7 starts in 2004 and 05, 6, and 7. Along with 2008, he was a regular in their starting rotation. Had winning years of 14, 13, and 2007. He won 17 games. Of course, that was pre-Humidor in Colorado, so the high ERA you really have to throw out the window. Big breaking ball in there, 0-2 on Everth Cabrera.
Good looking pitch.
Gone swinging on the high fastball, and it's back-to-back strikeouts here in the San Diego first inning. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Changes from game 1, Heisey to start in left, Bernardino to start in right. The other change along the infield, the only change in the infield, Ramon Santiago, Brzak Kozard, and Tucker Barnhart hanging the signs for Jeff Francis. And of course, they have worked together this year, with Barnhart having spent part of the year at AAA Louisville. 0-1 to Chase Headley. Boy, and you're right about Francis. He just gets it and goes right now.
I talked to him a little bit in spring training when he was down in Arizona with the Reds, and that was one of his philosophies, that he thinks you get better defense when you pitch quickly. And now the Padres are probably going to try to do what Chase Headley did right there, step out, try to make him get out of his rhythm a little bit.
The 2 teams in front of the Reds have already played their games, and both of them won today. Milwaukee scoring twice off Mark Melancon in the bottom of the 9th inning to beat the Pirates by a final count of 4-3. That one's in the air, right field. Bernardino waits, and a good start for Jeff Francis. He retires a side in order. Reds are coming up. 3 opening inning is a Cincinnati Red, and let's take a look at the Reds lineup behind him today. Presented by Meyer. Billy Hamilton had 2 hits in game 1. Chris Heisey in left field. Brandon Phillips a 3-run home run in game 1. Votto, Frazier, Bernardina in the middle, and a ladder third to Tucker Barnhart, Ramon Santiago, and Jeff Francis. Against right-hander Tyson Ross, 4-3 record, very good ERA.
Yeah, good earned run average, and he has gotten his control under control here in the last few games. Young man is 6 feet 6 inches tall. The big guy goes about 230 pounds. Born and raised in Oakland, and in fact he was raised a huge Oakland A's fan, and it was appropriate that they drafted him in the 2nd round in 2008. But he is now with the Padres, and you'll see a very short stride with him, a sinking fastball, and lots of sliders.
Since coming over in the deal from Oakland, he's made 24 starts for San Diego. A 7-8 record, but a 3.05 ERA in those 25 starts.
His last game was about as good as it gets for him. He went 7 innings of 1 earned run baseball against the Marlins, struck out 8.
Hamilton a pair of singles and 5 at-bats in the first game. And a count of 2-1 to Billy Hamilton. And now 3-1. The only start against the Reds for Ross. He earned the win on August the 10th of last year, going 7 innings of 1-run baseball. That was his only start against the Reds. He did pitch in 1 game as a reliever against the Reds while with the Oakland A's. 3-2 to Hamilton. And a leadoff walk to Billy, and that's the way it starts in the first inning. Take a look at San Diego defensively, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Clinton the start in game 2. DeNorfia the start in game 2. Same infield we saw in game 1. Rene Rivera behind the plate for Tyson Ross. Hamilton 12 stolen bases. He's been thrown out 5 times, and Ross naturally will keep an eye on him over there.
Of them, that means you can run on them. They've only thrown out 3, and there he goes.
And they pitch out, and a throw is in the dirt, and Hamilton got the hand to the bag before the tag was made. How about that? Bud Black going to come out and talk this over with the second base umpire, Angel Hernandez.
Well, even with the bounce, it looks like the throw from Rene Rivera beats him, but you can see that the hand gets in there, and he's got that little cover on that left hand. That's a good call, and Billy Hamilton is definitely safe. That left hand is the hand that he hurt his knuckles on as he dove for a ball to left field a couple of series ago. Never went on the disabled list, but that's a protective sleeve. It looks like it may even give him an extra inch or so.
Let's see if the Reds at the very minimum can manufacture a run. Of course, they're thinking a lot bigger than that, but the Padres believing maybe Heisey will be asked to bunt to get Hamilton to third. He's taken off for third and will easily get to third. I was just starting to say, why even fool around with it the way Hamilton can go?
Well, especially against a pitcher that throws so many breaking balls. And Tyson Ross throws about 40% breaking balls and about 60% fastballs. And against right-handers, I think it's more like 50-50. So as you see that ball, breaking ball down the dirt, not even a throw to third.
Heisey, a .221 batter, a home run and 6 runs batted in, and we brought up before his home run and all 6 of his RBIs have come as a pinch hitter. So a chance now to not get his first run as a starter. Shows bunt, pulls the bat away, and it's 3-0 to Heisey.
Well, this is what speed does for you. I mean, Tyson Ross walks the first batter. 2 pitches later, You got a runner at third, nobody out, and a 2-0 count on the hitter. Now you run it 3-0, whereas you were thinking, well, maybe I can still pitch out of this jam. But now you're thinking maybe damage control at this point. I know that's probably what Buddy Black is thinking right here. They've got the infield back. They're just looking for an out.
And a 4-pitch walk to Heisey. They're on the corners with nobody out. Well, the last time Brandon Phillips walked to the plate, well, I beg your pardon, he actually had his final at bat in game 1 in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. And he popped up, but the last time he stepped up there with 2 on, that was in the 5th inning of game 1, and Phillips clubbed his 3rd home run of the year to the first row out in left center field. That put the Reds ahead 3-0 against Ian Kennedy. They would tack on 2 more in the 5-0 win. There goes Heisey, and it's swung on and fouled out of play by Phillips. So very evident the Reds will be off and running should they get on all night tonight. That's a home run swing by Phillips, and he was excited. Why not? You give Johnny Cueto a 3-0 lead the way things are going this year, and you can pretty much mail it in. Tapper over the mound. The only out will be at first. Scoring is Hamilton. On to second goes Heisey. Give Phillips his 13th run batted in, and the Reds lead 1-0. Joey Votto 1 hit in 3 at-bats. He had a single and drew a walk in game 1 of the doubleheader. Overall 6 home runs, 12 runs batted in for Votto, and looks at a pitch right down the middle. Of fastball, strike 1. Well, Ross not fooling around. He's coming right after Votto with nothing but fastballs.
Yeah, he's got a little comeback action. You know, I talked about that ball being a sinking fastball. Most pitchers who have that ball sink also have it come back a little bit. I think maybe Votto was up there thinking he was going to see a breaking ball one of the first 2 pitches.
Heisey, the runner out there at second. 1 out, 1 in. Here in inning number 1. It's 0-2 on Joey Votto, and Ross now ready. Fastball struck him out. And had some tilt to it and not nearly the velocity. More of a slider, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was a slider down there. Perfect spot for it, too. You want to drop this on the back foot of the left-handed hitter, and he does that right there. Joey Votto thinking, hey, that might be another one of those comeback fastballs, and by the time he realized it, too late.
Nice block on that pitch in the dirt by Rene Rivera.
Had no choice. I think it got him on the face mask, did it not?
I think you're right.
Knocked his helmet off. I mean, that ball barely made it to the grass, or off the grass into the dirt. We may want to keep that pitch for a special edition of our Tech Talks when we define what a wild pitch is.
2-0 now to Todd Frazier. He extended his hitting streak to a career best 13 games. And Ross will uncork those from time to time. Frazier at batting average all the way up to 272. Team leader in home runs and runs batted in, and now 3 balls and no strikes.
Now, we speculated the other night about Todd Frazier, whether he is one of those hitters that likes to swing the bat on a 3-0 count, and he did indeed on a 3-0 count. Nearly drove the ball out of the ballpark, sent the right fielder all the way to the right field wall. May want to see the same thing right here with a little more oomph.
And that'll be another wild pitch on ball 4, advancing Frazier on to third. So the runners now at first and third, still 2 out in the inning. The Reds do not have a hit in this inning. 3 walks already by Ross, and here comes Bernardino.
Yeah, I think that ball is a pass ball because it never even went into the dirt, but that really doesn't make any difference to the Reds. They've got runners on the corner. Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, is coming out there to talk to him just to try to calm him down a little bit. Looks like he's really amped up. He had 2 starts early in the year, Tyson Ross did, where he was very wild. Went 5 innings in each of those ball games, walked 5 in one ball game, 4 in the next. But ever since then, he's been able to find his control. And he's not walked more than 2 batters in any ball game he's pitched since the first 2 starts of the season.
So Roger Bernardino will bat with runners at first and third, 1 in, 2 out. Bernardino 4 hits and 32 at bats. He has a couple of runs batted in, 1 extra base hit. That was a double. It's 21 pitches now in this game.
Well, with the look of that last delivery, I think that Balsley told him, hey, get out there and just throw the ball. Because he was much more aggressive with his delivery that time.
1-0 to Bernardino, and a bouncer to the right side will end the inning. Reds score a run. They draw 3 walks, and at the end of 1 out to a 1-0 lead. The ballpark. Take advantage of the Memorial Weekend offer. You buy tickets for only $22. 2 tickets for only $22. That'll be the Reds and the Cardinals. For more information, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or log on to Reds.com today. It's going to be a big weekend. Those are the only 3 games after this one that the Reds will play at Great American Ballpark through the rest of the month of May. A 3-game series over that Memorial Day weekend against the Cardinals. By the way, the Cardinals won earlier today, 5-3 over the Cubs. Reds lead here 1-0 as we begin the second inning. Carlos Quentin against Jeff Francis. Francis had a 1-2-3 first inning, fanned the first 2 batters, and got Chase Headley on a pop-up into short right field. And this will be a pop-up into short right field. And the first 4 set down by Francis in his Reds career. Jed Jerko, the batter. We were talking with manager Bud Black of the Padres before the game today and asked him how much family Jerko, assuming they would be coming here to Cincinnati from his native West Virginia. And apparently when they travel, they're a lot closer to Pittsburgh than they are Cincinnati. Morgantown, an easy ride from Pittsburgh, and that's generally where they turn out en masse. And they'll also make the drive when the Padres play the Nationals in Washington, D.C. Two and one on Jerko. Grounded foul, and now the count even at 2-2. Padres up their team payroll almost 30% to a club record $87 million this year. Their pitching has been spectacular. The second best pitching ERA in the National League. Here's a swing and a miss, and Francis has fanned 3 of the first 5 of the game.
Yeah, the key for Jeff Francis, get that breaking ball over, make him look for that, and the change of speeds are so important for him. He just gets him chasing that little slider down and in. He's got a curveball in the 70s, a slider like that in the 80s, and the more aggressive you are as a hitter against a guy like Jeff Francis, the more you play into his strength.
Cameron Maybin, his first game off the disabled list in game 1 of this doubleheader, and that is bounced into center field, and that'll be Maybin's first hit back on the active roster. A 2-out single, and the first base runner for the Padres against Jeff Francis. We invite you to tweet your photo using hashtag #OhioFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during an upcoming game. And it's brought to you by AT&T. Rene Rivera, the San Diego catcher, settles in. And a breaking ball under the knees. Rivera, a .250 batter with a home run and 7 runs batted in. He started the first game of this series against Mike Leake. All 3 of its bats coming against a Red starter, and he went hitless in 3 at bats. High fly ball into deep left field, and that one will fly out of here. A 2-run home run by Rene Rivera, and the Padres take a 2-1 lead here in the second inning. Something you talked about the opening night of this series, Chris Welsh, when pitching to Rene Rivera.
Well, you know, you really got to be careful, and you can pitch to Rivera and have some pretty good success if you just stay down and away. But if you make a mistake and you let him pull the ball, and you see where that pitch was, that was on the inner third, just above the knees, and that is his power zone. He is plenty strong. There's no doubt about that. And he hits a mistake, and he hits right out of here.
Line drive off the body of Francis. He still gets the out on Yonder Alonso and appears to be fine walking off the mound. Hopefully that's the case. 2-run home run by Rivera, and the Padres have a 2-1 lead. Elk, Serious Lawyers for Serious Injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. 40% of the Reds' runs this year have come via the home run ball. 3 of their 5. 60% in Game 1. See what the National League average is. Meanwhile, Reds pitchers, 49% have come from home runs. That's best in the National League. So really the only way you have been able to hurt this Reds pitching staff, and especially the rotation, because they've thrown more innings than any starting staff in Major League Baseball, is if you get them for the home run ball. Tucker Barnhart leads off the second inning, and boy, you're really doing this Tyson Ross a favor by chasing anything very early in the count. He walked 3 batters in the first inning. It could have easily been more than that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tom. And it's even more important, I think, for a left-handed hitter, because his slider is not as effective against left-handers than right-handers. If you're a right-hander and you want to chase the first fastball, you see, okay, because you don't want to see slider after slider from then on. But, you know, you ought to take a look at him, because he has shown that he will dig himself a hole.
On a 1-0 pitch, Santiago pops it up into foul ground, and 2 outs here in the second inning.
We talked about the slider that Tyson Ross throws and where it ranks among the other pitchers in the National League as far as usage goes. Now, Madison Bumgarner throws a lot of sliders, and Tyson Ross does as well.
Reds have already seen, of course, Liriano. They'll see him frequently this year, and they've also seen Urban Santana.
I'm pretty sure Liriano has, and I know that Santana has. I'm talking about Tommy John surgery for guys that throw a lot of breaking balls. There's a million theories as to why there's an epidemic of Tommy John surgeries and torn UCLs and so on. But, you know, it used to be back in the old day that everybody would say, well, if you throw too many sliders, you're going to have elbow problems.
Of course, both of these managers are former pitching coaches, and very good pitching coaches at that. 2 of the more highly regarded pitching coaches for a long, long time in Major League Baseball. And we were talking to Bud Black about You know, all the publicity of late about the frequency of Tommy John surgeries compared to years past. He talked about, you know, the power arms today compared to other generations, but he was firmly convinced that the primary reason, along with all the power arms, is the overuse of pitchers today and amateur baseball. And all of the pitches and all of the innings and all of the pressure situations where you're asking guys to play 60, 70, 80 games a year when they're 15, 16, 17 years old. It was a very interesting opinion.
Live feature, we can chat with Hal McCoy. Check out Brandon Phillips' latest pregame video bomb. And as a prominent college coach headed to the Cavs, Sam Amico has more on that. We got you covered all over the state of Ohio. FoxSports.com, brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. I'm Jim Day, down here by the Reds dugout. In fact, in the camera well. Now, Todd Frazier has a ton of rituals before the game. We're going to show some of them in the coming weeks. But check this one out. Now, after he goes and gets his teammates fired up, he comes into the camera well, and it doesn't matter who is there. Our camera operator down here, he'll tap him and say, hey, give me the fist. He'll do it to myself. He'll do it to anyone that's down here, and he'll say, hey, Jim, come on, I need it, bud, I need it. And it's just a way that to get himself fired up. And he says he's been doing it for as long as he can remember. Just another Todd Frazier, let's go, let's play some ball story.
Tell you what there, Jim Day, I wouldn't want to be doing that forearm shiver with Todd Frazier. Guy my size, he'd knock me about a block and a half. What would you call that, Jim? What kind of guy would that make Todd Frazier?
He's a motivator guy.
One away in the inning. As the pitcher flies out to center field, and here's DeNorfie. He struck out his first time up. And a fastball for strike two. Reds scored in the first inning without a hit. Billy Hamilton, a leadoff walk, stole second, stole third. Then a walk to Heisey. The Reds had runners on the corners and none out. And the best they could do was the one run on a ground out by Brandon Phillips. Votto struck out, Frazier walked, and Bernardino stranded two with a ground out. Francis retired the first five. Gave up a single to Cameron Maven and a two-run home run to Rene Rivera. So many of you just getting back after a long day at work. Settle in. We're in the third. And a tapper that will roll foul.
Well, Chris Denorfia, now 33 years old. He has really etched himself out a very solid major league career. A lot of people who saw him over here with the Reds. Remember, he was originally drafted by the Reds. Came up to the Reds when he was 21 years old. Had a couple of part-time seasons here, then was traded to the Oakland A's in exchange for a player to be named later that turned out to be Marcus McBeth. And the A's really got the best of it because he went on and played several years in the major leagues with the A's, then went over to the Padres. 9 seasons of Major League Baseball now for Chris Denorfia.
That ball hit hard the other way. And Bernardino will play it off the wall. Denorfia runs well. Here comes the throw, and he just does beat it. Denorfia, 1-out double off the right field wall.
Ball just kept going and going. Good play by Bernardino on this ball. He gets it and gets it quickly back in. He plays it just about as well as you possibly can and shows a good arm.
So Denorfia out at second base, 1 away, and Cabrera the batter. Breaking ball low and in. You got Frazier about 3 steps in on the grass over at third. Votto 1 step on the grass at first base. Cabrera can really run. And obviously, if he's bunting here, he's trying to bunt for a hit. Already 1 out in the inning. Three balls and no strikes.
Yeah, you can't fall asleep with Denorfia at second base either. He can run a little bit too. He's stolen 6, has not been thrown out. He stole 11 last year and was not thrown out. So he's more of a situational stealing guy.
3-0 to count, and there's a strike. You know, a lot of people have asked why the Reds did not have Cueto pitch the first game and then bring the scheduled starter for today, Alfredo Simon, back in the second game rather than using Francis. Well, obviously you would create a problem if you did that about having to have one or the other start on short rest. Ground ball to Santiago. He will throw out Cabrera. Staying put is Denorfia. 2 away in the inning. Now the Reds expect Tony Cingrani back in their starting rotation over the weekend. He is scheduled to toe the rubber on Tuesday night in Philadelphia against Cole Hamels. But your dilemma would then come when Johnny Cueto's spot comes up on Monday in D.C. or Tuesday, I beg your pardon. He and Simon, if they both pitch today, naturally would come up on the same day to pitch. Reds will have Simon tomorrow night. Bailey now on Saturday. So Cingrani more than likely penciled in to start the series finale Sunday against Cliff Lee. Nice play there by Tucker Barnhart. 1-1 to Chase Headley.
You see all the balls in the dirt that Jeff Francis is throwing, and that's really the reason why he is not in the big leagues pitching really successfully for a major league team. Because when you want to miss with those pitches, just miss a little bit below the knees so that it might look like a strike somewhere along the way. When you're bouncing it, it never really does look like a strike, like that pitch. It really is a wasted pitch. I mean, those left-handed pitchers especially who don't have overpowering fastballs, and you know that last fastball that he threw was somewhere around 86, 87 miles an hour. So you put him in that category. You really have to have very, very good control.
Slow breaking ball, and way out in front of it is Headley, and that'll even account at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
A great example of that, of course, is a guy who's pitching in Toronto right now, spent nearly his entire major league career in the American League, but he's 4th in the majors this year with earned run average. I'm talking about Mark Burley. He averages, if you can believe it, 83.5 miles an hour with his fastball, and his earned run average is 2.0 this year.
Well, look, there are probably a lot of guys you could make the case for the following. When you look back over the last, let's say, 30 years in baseball, it is hard to find a more under-the-radar pitcher than Mark Burley has been. He has had a fantastic major league career.
Right, and really what he's done is done the best with what the tools he has been given, which is learn how to throw the ball where he wants to.
Back up the middle, and that'll have the runner sprinting for third and rounding home. Here comes Hamilton's throw to the plate. Not there. Throw down to second. Not in time there. And Headley with a 2-out single gives San Diego a 3-1 lead.
Well, the replay at second is the one thing that Brian Price, standing near the edge of the dugout steps, wondering if it's worth asking for a replay or a review of that. And for the slide, he really comes up short, but then does he get his foot in there in time? Looks like the dirt here at Great American Ballpark is sliding like Velcro right now. Guys are hitting it and stopping.
I tell you, this is one you got to be careful you don't let get away from you. Francis had a 1-2-3 opening inning, allowed a 2-run home run in the second inning. Now a 2-out run scoring single in the third to make it 3-1 Padres. You've got the heart of the order coming up. Granted, this is not a high scoring San Diego team, although until arriving in Cincinnati they were swinging the bats better than they had at any point during this season. They scored 24 in a 3-game sweep of the Marlins. Phillips out to get it, and the inning is over. Padres get a run. Top of the order coming up. Reds are down a pair. Game this Friday night. Meet Fox Sports Ohio girl Christine and try your luck with the home run derby contest. You'll have a chance to win some great prizes. It's all happening Friday at 7 o'clock at J Tabs. We had a chance to see the Fox Sports Ohio girl, one of them, Christine, at the great event they had here on Monday night. Women in Baseball 101. Bengals have been doing it for a number of years. 580 women, all baseball fans, great baseball fans, came down here on Monday night And I want to tell you what, I think if you were to talk to any of them, they couldn't have had a better time. I tell you, the Reds are really making it easy here for Tyson Ross. I mean, this guy couldn't find home plate with a compass in the opening inning. And in the second inning, you had a 2-pitch at bat, a 2-pitch at bat, and the pitcher come up. And here in the third, a 1-pitch at bat. Now Heisey, like Hamilton, he walked in the first inning. In fact, Heisey did not see a strike in his at bat, and he still hasn't seen one. These are the games, the final game of this doubleheader, and it's very hard to win a doubleheader. And obviously Tyson Ross has done some good things this year. You look at his ERA at 3.02, and there's nothing wrong with that. Chris talked about his control and how he struggled early in the year, and he's been much better lately.
Well, you can see from his delivery, I mean, even if you're not a pitching coach or have never pitched, you can see that's kind of an odd delivery. Very herky-jerky, especially when he lands. He's got a short stride, lands on a very stiff front leg, and it kind of throws his whole body out of whack. And that's one reason why he has a hard time repeating that same release point over and over again. Here's the motion we're talking about here. Watch that front leg when he lands here and how stiff that is. Very short stride for a guy 6'6". He strides like he's about 5'6". And when you lock your knee out that much and you haven't released the ball yet, you're going to have some wildness.
2-2 to Heisey.
Now, what that will give you is a sensational breaking ball, because that's what you need to throw a good breaking ball, is a stiff front side. But he's some kind of gifted athlete to be able to throw 93, 94 miles an hour with that delivery.
And there's a walk to Heisey. So a pair of walks in a game to Chris. And the tying run comes to the plate. That is 4 walks in 2 1/3 innings for Tyson Ross. Take a look at our steel power tool performer, Brandon Phillips. You talk about a guy righting the ship. Look at these numbers in the month of May for Brandon Phillips. 7 doubles, 7 scored, 7 batted in, and a couple of home runs. Now, if you weren't with us in the first inning, the Reds made it very clear that they are going to run when they get on base against this big, tall right-hander. Billy Hamilton stole second, stole third. Heisey was off and running to try and steal second base in that first inning. Phillips looks at a strike. Only 2 teams in the National League have stolen more bases than the Reds, they being the Dodgers, and then last night the Mets leapfrogged them. That's pretty much a neck-and-neck race. Ball and a strike on Brandon Phillips. One delivery in the dirt again. And a slow tapper to the left side. They will play to second and get the out there, cutting down the lead runner. So 2 are out in the inning. Well, you know the drill. If a Red hits a home run off the Toyota side during our game today, Elizabeth Cullen of Cincinnati will win that beautiful new Tundra out in left center field. And you can register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by visiting your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Of every Red that has come to the plate so far in this game against Tyson Ross that has been in the batter's box for more than 4 pitches in the at-bat, every one of them has walked in this game.
That's a great stat.
Every one of them. The only one that didn't was the pitcher, Jeff Francis. But of all the position players that have been in the box for more than 4 pitches so far in this game, every one of them has drawn a walk. 0-2 on Joey Votto.
Well, he's having trouble throwing strikes to just about everybody but Joey Votto. In fact, he has thrown nothing but strikes to Votto. The first at bat, 2 good fastballs, a slider, the check swing strikeout. And now he's kind of pitching backwards on Votto this time. One thing they're doing, though, they're attacking the inner part of the strike zone right there.
Big shift again put on Joey Votto, only the third baseman. In fact, it's a third baseman who is over on the right side of the infield. That is the shortstop Cabrera, the lone Padre, on the left side. Oh, and 2 to Joey Votto. And he's gone on strikes for the 2nd straight time. That's that slider again. And a 3. 3-1 San Diego.
Here on Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day back with you, and just like they did in the first game of the doubleheader, the Padres have a very special jersey hanging in their dugout. It is to salute the firefighters and first responders that are right now battling some horrible fires back in the San Diego area. And they just wanted to let everyone know back in San Diego that they are indeed thinking about them and saluting their service. And what's even more interesting, the Padres wore all gray uniforms in the first game. They had a gray jersey, so they changed it and matched the jerseys that they're wearing for game 2. So a very good sentiment, and we certainly send out our best as well. Just a horrible situation going on right now.
Well, you're not lying about that, Jim. It was so fascinating to talk to Mark Grant, who's in his 19th year working on Padres television as their analyst. And, of course, he pitched for the Padres, a part of his major league career. We're talking about so many out in Southern California. It drifts all the way down to Arizona and Nevada. And all the wildfire. There you get a look at Mark Grant. When the Santa Ana winds kick up in the late spring, early summertime, and of course they've had horrific droughts all across the western part of America. But he was sharing that 3 times his family has had to evacuate their homes over the years, and talked about what that is like to close a door, lock up your house when you're told to evacuate, the things you realize you're going to try and take with you. And most of the time you have a little bit of time, not all the time, but most of the time you have the ability to go in and gather some things before you leave. Not much, really, whatever you can get in your car. And here's strike 3 called to Cameron Maybin. We talked about when you close the door to that house and you're walking out with your family. If you're lucky, you've got family in the area where you can stay, or if you can afford to go to a hotel or wherever it is you're going to go. But physically closing that door and wondering, are you ever going to walk into your home again?
Or will you ever even see the neighborhood again?
Sure.
I mean, not only your home, but everybody else that you live next door to, across the street from, down the street from. Must be pretty weird especially for those guys who now live out in San Diego and are from out there. And they come in last night and they actually have rain out here. I mean, it was a deluge last night. And they're talking about, flood watches. And there they can't get a drop of rain.
Oh, you're not kidding. A good 4th inning for Francis. Retires his side in order. So certainly our thoughts and prayers to the firefighters, the first responders, and those being affected out in San Diego. Memorial Day weekend with us. You can buy 2 tickets for only $22. See the Redlegs and the Cardinals. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 23rd, 24th, 25th. On Sunday, the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger get a Reds team card set thanks to Cons. 513-381-REDS or log on to reds.com/tickets for more details. Great to have you with us on this Thursday night. Reds and Padres playing a day-night doubleheader. Reds behind Johnny Cueto's 3-hit shutout. Came away winners 5-0 in the afternoon tilt. Reds jumped in front 1-0 on Tyson Ross, and San Diego has scored 3 unanswered. Reds bat in the 4th inning. Todd Frazier, Roger Bernardina, Tucker Barnhart due up. Frazier walked his first time up.
Well, those two last pitches in succession, the slider on the black and then 94 on the outer corner. If he could just run those off a few thousand times, you really have something. And that's what's enticing about a guy like Tyson Ross. In fact, he made 3 real good pitches in a row right there. Here, you hope this isn't the case where the Reds look like they had him on the ropes here in the first inning, and then they've given him a few easy outs, and now all of a sudden he's kind of getting his rhythm underneath him, and he's finding his release points and his strike zones better, and he may toughen up, because when he starts throwing the ball where he wants to, his stuff is plenty good.
Strike one to Roger Bernardina. He came up there with 2 on and 2 out in the first inning. And took a swing at a 1-0 pitch and hit a little roller to the second baseman. Was thrown out to end the inning. Quickly 0-2 on Roger Bernardina. Going on 3 pitches, Bernardina, 2 around the inning. Tucker Barnhart looks at ball 1. Tucker bounced out to Yonder Alonso, his first time up. Of course, these teams came into this series with virtually identical records, and they mirror one another in a number of other areas. 2 teams really struggling to score runs so far this year. 2 teams that have been blessed with great pitching, not good pitching, great pitching. But if you're the Reds, you have not lost a home series to San Diego in 5 years. And there's a 4-pitch walk to Tucker Barnhart. It's very hard, as we started to say earlier, Chris, to win a doubleheader against anybody. Doesn't matter who it is. 2 games in the same day. Most doubleheaders, the overwhelming majority, and in a split. But having said that, you know, this game has the feel to it as though it would do a world for momentum for this Reds team to come away with 2 out of 3 in this series after just beating Colorado 2 out of 3. Be the first time all year long where you started to feel like, you know, maybe you can start to gain some momentum.
Well, you've had 2 tremendous pitching performances in this series by Reds pitchers. Of course, Johnny Cueto today, the 3-hit shutout, but Mike Leake the other night was as good as you can get, and they lose that ball game. So not only are you trying to win 2 games in one day, but you're trying to win the series right here. And that's where the momentum is, because that's where most managers try to measure their ball club. It's not in the little mini winning streaks of 2 or 3 games in a row or 4 games in a row. It's how many series you can go out and win, because you're matching yourself up on about another team, odd number of games. You win the most of those games, you feel good about your ball club walking away, especially since they're still not at full strength.
Ground ball to Cabrera. He'll feed Jerko, and the Reds are through in the 4th inning. 1 man left. We go to the 5th. 3-1 San Diego.
game one of this doubleheader. Brandon Phillips provided the offense with a 3-run home run, but the story was Johnny Cueto. A complete game, 3-hit shutout today. 3rd complete game of the season, 9th career complete game, 4th career shutout as the Reds won 5-0. But it was an historical start for Johnny Cueto. First pitcher in the last 101 years to start a season with 9 consecutive starts of 7 or more innings, allowing 2 or fewer runs. Now look at his numbers. After the game, Johnny Cueto, very soft-spoken guy, does not talk smack, if you will, but he was asked, do you think you're the best pitcher in the league? And he said emphatically, yes, I do. My numbers are doing the talking right now, and you just saw the numbers. Tom?
You're not lying about that. I mean, it certainly is a start of historical proportions for Johnny Cueto. He has just been spectacular. That's the only word to describe it. Could very easily be 9-0 this year. And that's not a stretch. It's not saying, well, you know, this could have happened, that could have happened, this could have happened. When you're going 7 or more and allowing 2 or fewer in 9 straight starts, been involved in a pair of 1-0 games. One time he got the loss, one time a no decision after he came out in Atlanta. In fact, the last 6 games that Cueto has started, if you went 9 in all 6 of those games, 54 innings, right? Only 2 innings has he not pitched of the 56.
Amazing.
Amazing.
I mean, the fact that you really only score off of him when you hit a home run. I'd like to see a stat, and I don't think Major League Baseball keeps it, but it would be interesting.
That ball scalded by Yonder Alonso, and boy, he's having some tough luck right now.
Well, he has hit the ball hard today. Yes, hit the ball hard the other day as well, and not a whole lot to show for it for Yonder. Hang with him. But the stat I'd like to see capped is the number of pitches a pitcher throws out of the stretch position or with a runner on base. And maybe I'm sure they keep that somewhere. I'm sure our stat guys, whether it's Chris Kalo or Joel Luckham, could look it up in an instant. But Johnny Cueto doesn't do that very often. I mean, you see him with that spin full windup far more than you ever see him out of the stretch.
He has thrown now 72 innings this year and has allowed 33 base hits. You almost think there's a typo when you see the innings to innings pitched with Cueto. 72 innings. 33 hits allowed. And for many of you may be wondering for the first time, you know, what's the norm? Most pitchers, generally speaking, allow a hit per inning.
At least. Good pitchers are right at a hit per inning or below. But, you know, if you look at Johnny Cueto's numbers, except for maybe the first 2 years when he was in the major leagues, and remember the first year he had 30 starts, second year he had around 30 or 31 starts. So they didn't break him in slowly, you know, and cut off his innings at 170 or something like that. They just ran him right out there. So, and he got tired towards the end of each of those seasons, if you remember. But if you just say, all right, those are your preschool seasons. Now the real school begins. After that, he has always had exceptional innings pitched to hits ratio. He's just a hard guy to hit, period.
What a play by Roger Bernardino on that line drive off the bat of the pitcher Tyson Ross.
How did he get that? I mean, it looks like at the very end of this that Roger just puts a glove up behind him, and there it finds the glove. Wow, nice play.
Man, to be that kind of an athlete. Whew. Two down, nobody on. Back to the top of the order with Denorfia. And in there, strike. Chris struck out swinging, leading off the game. He doubled off the right field wall and scored on the base hit by Chase Headley in the third. San Diego a 3-1 lead. Batting here in the top half of the 5th inning. Breaking ball hit down the right field line over near the stands and out of play. You know, you talk about the number of years that Denorfia has at least had a little bit of major league playing time. 4 games in 2009 before Oakland took him off the roster. You go back to when he came up with the Reds in 05, 18 games, 49 in 06, none in 07, 29 in 08. And that one shot into right field, a base hit by Denorfia, his second of the evening. So when they brought him in as a non-roster invitee, I mean, he was just a guy that you figure when they signed him, he'd give him a little depth in the minor leagues. Well, he played in 130 games in 2012, 144 games last year. So 3 years in a row he's played 100 or more with San Diego after not playing more than 49 in any of his first 5 years in the major leagues. Strike one to Everth Cabrera.
The thing about Denorfia, though, is that when he went down to the minor leagues, he always had good, solid numbers in AAA and in AA. So he's always hitting over 300 down there. And he's not a tools type player where he does any one thing exceptional. Doesn't hit it 9 miles. Isn't as fast as Billy Hamilton. Not a great arm. Good. Everything is good, but nothing's great. So a guy like Chris Denorfia has to continue year in and year out in the minor leagues to continue to prove that he can play at that level. And when he gets here, somebody believes in him. They give him some playing time. They give him some rest. They put him out when he can be successful. And he's etched out a very nice major league career.
You know, Chris, you were here when he was coming up through the organization. And I guess the outfield then would have been what? Griffey, Dunn, and Kearns. So perhaps that's a reason why there just wasn't a lot of room out there for Denorfia, because as you mentioned, when you look at his minor league numbers, this guy put together some really good minor league seasons in the Reds system. 340, 312, 330, 310. Those are the kinds of years that work you up through that system and at least give you a chance to show what you can do at the big league level.
Yeah, but if you're a scouting director or a general manager, you're always looking for that guy who's the potential superstar. And you mentioned some of the guys that would fall in that category.
Denorfia running on the pitch, and it's grounded foul. One and two on Cabrera, 2 outs, 1 on, and a breaking ball chopped to Santiago, and the inning is over. So Jeff Francis so far 5 innings of 3-run baseball, but on the short end of a 3-1 game. Sports Ohio, brought to you by JTM Food Group. Let's create great dishes together. By Toyota. For over 30 Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. And by B-Dubs, spend $30 on a gift card for dads and grads, and they'll give you a $5 bonus. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beer, sports. Well, the night is over. His Cincinnati Reds debut for pitcher Jeff Francis, and turned in a pretty decent outing.
Yeah, really all you want out of an emergency starter like Jeff Francis, keep your team in the ball game. I would say he did that.
Neftali Soto batting for Francis, who gives up 3 runs, all earned, 5 hits in 5 innings.
You'd like to have that one pitch back that he left out over the plate to Rene Rivera. But other than that, that one for a 2-run home run. Other than that, he threw the ball pretty well. Did not walk a batter.
2-0 the count on Neftali Soto. Two and two. Ross walked 3 batters in the first inning. He's walked 5 in the first 4. And he has just struck out Soto after falling behind 2-0 on 3 in a row. And that makes Soto the first Reds position player, and I guess you got to consider him that as a pinch hitter, that has been in the batter's box for more than 4 pitches against Tyson Ross that has not drawn a walk. Hamilton walked in the first inning, swung at the first pitch, bounced out his last time. 0-1. Looks like, Chris, you hit the nail right on the head. This guy appears to be getting it together more and more. Hamilton has a hit taken away on a nice diving play by Yonder Alonso. 2 up, 2 down.
Well, that's a danger you have with a guy with good stuff. And he gets wild early on. You're never really sure what you come out of the bullpen with. Sometimes you just don't feel right. Your pitches aren't coming out of your hand. Maybe your breaking ball's not working. He was clearly bouncing the ball in the dirt. In fact, he threw one breaking ball that barely even made it to the dirt. I mean, it bounced a good 5 or 6 feet in front of home plate. But now look at him. He's cut that slider right on the edge of the dish.
One and one to Chris Heisey, who has walked twice. Three and two to Heisey. Brandon Phillips waiting in the on deck circle. Reds are trailing 3-1 as they bat here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Milwaukee and the Cardinals won earlier today, as the Reds did behind Johnny Cueto in game 1. This one in the air over by the Reds dugout and just beyond the reach of Yonder Alonso. Some of his former teammates here to keep an eye on him.
He leans over the rail right here and thinks he has a chance. At the end, looks like he's beginning to lose his balance. I think that's Brian Pena. One Cubano to another, helping each other out right there.
In game 1 of this doubleheader, when you had Yasmani Grandal, born in Cuba, you had Brian Pena, born in Cuba. 2 of only 3 catchers in big league history born in that country. That's a live ball. A fan did not touch it, and it'll go for a double. for Chris Heisey.
I think that's going to be challenged, at least talked over by Bud Black. He came out of that dugout very quickly after he saw that call by the third base umpire. Ball ripped down the line. We'll have a better look right here. Looked like it kicked up some dust. Yep, fair ball.
Hey, what our crew right here in Cincinnati. These guys been at it for a long time, all over. And Bud Black looking into his dugout, and third base umpire down there, Adrian Johnson, a smirk on his face, knowing exactly what Bud Black was up to there, just waiting for the green light or the red light from his dugout. Beg your pardon, they made an umpiring change. That is Chad Whitson down there at third base. Adrian Johnson, a regular part of this crew. 0-1 on Brandon Phillips.
Well, what a difference in Ross's slider now as compared to the first couple innings. I mean, he is really have a lot of confidence in it. He's thrown it a lot. He threw it 3 pitches in a row to strike out Neftali Soto. Might go back to it right here.
Two on Brandon Phillips. Runner out there at second base is Chris Heisey. And a fastball is high at 94 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's one of these situations where you show him that high fastball just to change the eye level a little bit. Then you're going back to your pitch of choice. And that's the old slider.
Punched into short right field, and it will be run down by Denorfia. And that'll end the inning. Reds get their first hit of the game, a double by Heisey, and trail 3-1. .org. As always, coming up a little bit later on in our telecast, we'll have our Miller Time moment presented by Miller Lite. And we can tell you the Reds have gone to their bullpen. They got 5 innings out of emergency starter tonight. Jeff Francis, he allowed all 3 runs, 5 hits. Struck out 4 and did not walk a batter. And now taking over on the mound, and his bullpen has been so infrequently used. Is Logan Ondrusek.
You know, you walk the fine line between being too strong and then being maybe not sharp enough to get the job done. Logan Ondrusek only in his 11th game all year long. He's only pitched 9 1/3 innings. That earned run average was all bumped up. That was back in almost a month ago when he pitched in Chicago and gave up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Other than that, he's pitched some pretty good baseball. Back to the 6 earned runs that he has given up this year. 5 of those earned runs came in back-to-back appearances on the same trip, or not on the same trip, but a trip to St. Louis. Gave up a couple and gave up 3 in Chicago. That was before he got a haircut.
Two and one to Chase Headley. It'll be 3, 4, and 5 in the San Diego batting order here in the 6th inning with a 3-1 lead. 3 runs, 5 hits for San Diego. 1 run, just 1 hit for the Reds.
That was Headley that had the biggest and best swing of any Padre so far in this series. He's the one that came up against Aroldis Chapman and with 2 outs launched a fastball 99 miles an hour into the left field bleachers.
And for Headley at the time, that was only his 2nd hit as a right-handed batter this season. He had been 1 for 16 from the right side before that home run off Chapman in the 9th inning. So 3-2, and Ondrusek the payoff pitch. And he walks a first man here in the 6th inning. We'll get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before the start of every game. We call it Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And of course, that'll be Jim Day and Chris Welsh coming your way tomorrow night from Philadelphia. Jim Day will be on the road as well with the boys, as he is each and every game this year. Jeff Pecoro and Brian Giesenslaw will be back in the studio. Oh, and Barnhart found the handle. They had Headley hung out to dry. Started to take off, slammed on the brakes, was a good 25 feet off the bag.
Yeah, he was caught out in no man's land right there. Whether he had gone to second base or gone back to first, he would have been out had Tucker been able to put a grip on that ball.
Ondrusek has fallen behind Quinton, 2 balls and no strikes.
You just wonder if it's a little bit of rest that he's got going on. He has not pitched in 5 days. Last outing was an inning against the Rockies.
Two and 1 to Carlos Quinton. Quinton just activated off the disabled list. His first game all year long came in the series opener, went 0 for 3, drew a walk. Talked about it on Monday night when the Padres have Carlos Quinton in their lineup, and that has been infrequent. He's not played more than 86 games in each of the last 2 years, returning to his hometown team. Well, the Padres, who have won 74 games in each of the last 2 years, have been a .500 team with Carlos Quinton in the lineup. In fact, they're 1 game over .500 if you include that opening game win of this series. And they're more than 20 under without him in the lineup. Bud Black was saying before the game today, with Quentin being activated Monday and then Maben prior to the scheduled game last night, said as far as he can recall, as it's 3-1 now to Quentin, it is the first time in 3 years Bud Black is putting the lineup that he projected would be the starting lineup when the season began.
Brian Price is still waiting.
Boy, and Andrusik is all over the place.
He not even able to throw his fastball for a strike, and that's the alarming thing. I mean, you should always be able to have one pitch that you can rear back and have a real good chance of being able to throw the ball not just over the plate, but in the part of the strike zone that you want it. He just looks a little bit out of kilter. That's an interesting stat about Quentin, about how the Padres are 20 games better with him in the lineup. But that's a tough stat to give credence to, because you start to say that about other players. Take Joey Votto, what is it, a couple years ago when he missed a lot of time, and then it seemed like the Reds went on a roll after that. But it was terrific play by Frazier and terrific play by Ryan Ludwig that kept the team going along that time. So I'm not so sure that it's as much a editorial about how good Carlos Quentin is or how nobody else on the Padres were able to step it up when he's not around.
Good point. When seemingly every pitch delivered by Andrusik is either in the dirt or down around the ankles to the batter. Ball one to Jerko. The Reds wondering if they would ask their second baseman and number 5 hitter in this game to bunt. No sign of one on that first pitch. 2 on and nobody out. And it's 2-0 now on Jerko. Broken bat pop up, but a long run. Heisey got a good jump on it. And that's the first out here in the inning.
I'm even a little bit surprised to see him swing out of 2-0 pitch right there. I mean, he just walked the 2 batters ahead of you. And you figure you're going to get a 2-0 fastball. Yeah, maybe it was a pitch he liked and wanted to give it a shot. But when you got a pitcher digging his own hole out there, why do you want to help him out?
You know, that is the one area, Chris, I think you would agree. You know, you can talk about the difference in baseball in one category, the difference in another category. We can talk about the power arms in the game today, the specialization of the bullpen, sabermetrics. You can talk about all the changes that have gone on in baseball. When we sit in here and talk to scouts every night, scouts from teams all over the major leagues, National League and American League, inevitably the conversation seems to come back to what you just talked about and what we so frequently talk about up here. It's understanding situations in the game or the lack thereof. The example you just gave, a guy who has walked the first 2 batters in the inning. He has started the next batter 2 balls and no strikes. This one has popped up to Maben. And the pitcher, Andrusik, and Votto run into one another, but the infield fly rule. And Votto saying to Andrusik, I got it covered. They're 2 away in the inning.
Well, no harm, no foul there. It just looked awfully bad. Andrusik standing there waving his arms, and Votto went up for the rebound, but it's tough to get it from a guy that's about 5 inches taller than he is.
So 2 away in the inning, and now it's Rivera who hit a 2-run home run in the second inning, and then popped up to Brandon Phillips his first time up. But anyway, that's just something for those of you at home that we hear a lot of. I mean, I was just talking to a scout about it before the first game of the doubleheader today. He brought up the same thing. So he's watching a game the other day, almost an identical situation. Said a pitcher had come into a game, walked a couple of batters, fell behind either ball one or maybe 2-0, and he said the next guy swinging, and he couldn't believe it.
You make a great point, but I can tell you as a pitcher, when I went through a streak where I was having a hard time throwing strikes, and maybe I walked a couple of guys and then go 2-0 on the next one, and then the next guy swings at a 2-0 pitch and rolls over a ground ball double play, I'm like, thank you. I mean, I'll send over a gift certificate to you if you could do that again next time, because I was trying to figure out how to get out of this jam, and you got out of it for me.
Well, they're on 2-0, taking down low, and now 3 balls and no strikes.
And maybe, Tom, some of that comes from a lot of hitters don't realize sometimes how things can just go awry for a pitcher. You just all of a sudden get on a streak where your foot's not landing right, your arm doesn't feel good, you're carrying the ball one way or another, and you almost have to, in the batter's box, put yourself in the place of the pitcher. So where's this guy's head right now? Is he just trying to throw a strike, or is he being aggressive, or what? And I don't think they appreciate how hard it is to throw the ball 60 feet to a spot.
Well, there's a 3rd walk in the inning by Logan Ondrusek. And that highlights even further going back to that Jerko at bat. Jerko really doing Ondrusek a huge favor by swinging at that 2-0 pitch and hitting a pop-up into left field. That's going to be all for Ondrusek. He faces 5, walks 3. And the Reds are going to go to their bullpen. And this will be our skyline call to the bullpen. Sean Marshall coming on to face Yonder Alonso. Only 3 games the Reds have at home between now and early June. You can buy 2 tickets for only $22. Where are you going to beat that? May 23rd, 24th, 25th, and guess who's in town? The St. Louis Cardinals. Call 381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations for tickets, or you can always log on to reds.com/tickets. 3-1 ball game. San Diego in front. We're in the top of the 6th inning. The bases are loaded on 3 walks by Logan Ondrusek, and now trying to clean things up is left-hander Sean Marshall.
He's trying to throw strikes, but good strikes. Yonder Alonso has hit the ball very hard so far tonight.
And there's a base hit on the very first pitch into left field. That'll plate 1 run. So the hard hitting, hard contact of Yonder Alonso continues. Couple of loud outs in this game already, but now an RBI single.
Now take another look at this swing. It was a slider that was going away from him, but you see where it was. I mean, it was just like Upper thigh right there. Good spot to hit. It was one of those get-ahead sliders, and it was not a bad pitch by Marshall. I mean, he had to throw a strike right there with bases loaded. And he didn't want to throw a fastball, so he dropped the slider in there, but Yonder Alonso takes it the other way and gets a base hit.
Now 8 RBIs for Yonder Alonso. And they are loaded for the pitcher, Tyson Ross. Ross hit the ball very, very hard. You may remember his last time up. Took that leaping acrobatic grab by Bernardino. And he'll have to go back to get this one to the warning track. So 3 walks in the inning. 1 comes in to score. It's a 3-run San Diego lead. Lowe's never stop improving. Well, not only did Brandon Phillips hit the 3-run home run in the first game, his defense was just, as always, unbelievable. What a play this was. Only chance he had with a runner. Barehanding and throwing him out.
And that was the fastest runner on the Padre team. Booted it down the line there.
Been a very different story for the Reds here in game 2. They have been limited to 1 base hit. They had 14 hits, 5 runs in the first game today. Of course, a lot of changes in the lineup for the second game of this doubleheader. You had Ludwig in left field, you had Schumacher in right field, you had Cozart at short, and you had Pena behind the plate. Cozart had an excellent game 1. He grounded out his first time up. He had 3 straight hits, scored a run, and knocked in 2. Big ship put on Joey Votto. He has struck out swinging twice against Ross. 1 ball and 1 strike. Votto at .259 with 6 home runs and 12 runs batted in. Two and two to Joey Votto. And just slaps that one foul up the third base line. The Reds in Fox Sports Ohio would love to send out a special happy birthday belated happy birthday. Betty Camp from Vandalia, Ohio, celebrated her 80th birthday yesterday. And Betty Camp, we hope you had a wonderful day. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday indeed, Betty.
Third straight time Votto has struck out today. And that's 6 strikeouts on the afternoon for Tyson Ross.
They're trying to take away Votto's ability to hit the ball the other way. They have just crowded him with everything. And this slider is one that, unless you want to throw your hips open and get that bat head through the zone early, you're going to swing over the top of that most of the time. Not very often you see Votto strike out 3 times in a row against a right-handed pitcher.
Todd Frazier, the batter. He's walked and lined out to right field. The only Reds hit came with 2 outs in the 5th. That was a double up the third base line by Heisey. Ross very, very wild in the early part of this game. He walked 3 batters in the first inning, walked another in the 3rd, another in the 4th. So he had 5 of them through the first 3 2/3 innings. But did not walk a batter in the 5th, and is retired the only batter he's faced here in the 6th. Cabrera charging and is unable to make the play. Frazier runs well. And that'll extend Frazier's hitting streak. A new career high, now 14 in a row for Todd Frazier.
Well, I can guarantee you that Everett Cabrera, as he's coming across the infield trying to grab this ball, he's thinking, hey, I hit one just like this, and Brandon Phillips made the play on me. And he could not grab it. That's very difficult to do, to come in there and grab a ball while it's moving. It's got spin on it. If he gets it, he's got a chance to get Frazier, but that's a tough play.
In fact, that's exactly how Frazier extended his hitting streak to 13 games in the first game of this doubleheader. Was a bouncer over the mound where Cabrera once more tried to barehand it. Now Frazier would add a clean hit, if you will, later in the game when he ripped one into left field. But now an infield hit. And the Reds hoping that is a start of something big here in the bottom of the 6th inning, down 4-1. Bernardina has bounced out to Jerko, the second baseman, and struck out 0 for 2. Bernardina looks at strike 2 and strike 3, same location. 2 are out in the inning.
Eight strikeouts now for Tyson Ross. That's a little fastball with some movement on it. Always handled the left-handers. Votto 3 strikeouts. Bernardina 2 strikeouts.
And 2 out of that number 9 hole. Tucker Barnhart, a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. He has bounced out to Yonder Alonso and drawn a walk. that one. Fouled off out of play, and Barnhart behind Ross at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now, this San Diego bullpen has been just about as good as any in Major League Baseball. So Ross, in 8 starts, he worked 50 innings. So he's basically been a 6-inning pitcher this year. Right now, his next pitch will be number 94 in the game. And it's in the dirt. 2-2 to Tucker Barnhart.
Well, for Ross, 3 times this year he has gone into taking his team into the 8th inning. Once he has taken him into the 9th. But he's never started a game in which he's pitched less than 5 innings, so he's not really been involved in a blowout. But if you can get 7 innings, or even in this case, since he's running that pitch count around 100, 6 innings out of Tyson Ross, they take it. They've got a little bit of activity in that bullpen now, but they still have a 3-run lead.
Strikes out Barnhart, and that will end the inning. So he fans aside, does Ross in the 6th.
There's 8 strikeouts.
Sports Ohio. Devin Mesoraco continues his rehab assignment for the Louisville Bats, and this is a good sign right here in Norfolk, and Mezzo going yard. Now, barring anything unforeseen, he's got a very good chance of coming off the disabled list and meeting the Reds in Philadelphia tomorrow. We will see on that one. And speaking of catchers at Louisville, a big old congratulations going out to one of our favorites, the Corkster, Corky Miller. Now the leader in all-time games played for the Louisville Bats. He is Mr. Louisville, and Tom Brenneman, you can attest to this on our caravan portion of the trip. When we were in Louisville, it was like the heavyweight champ coming out. He had to come out last, and when he did, boy, do they love them some Corky.
Yeah, I mean, when we go on the caravan, you could have Jay Bruce, Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, Aroldis Chapman. You could have all of them. Not one of those guys is going to be anywhere near the popularity level in Louisville, Kentucky as Corky Miller.
There's the bobblehead.
They gave that away in Louisville. And what a guy.
You know, every year he comes to camp, and they say, well, if he doesn't make the team, he's going to be a coach. But every year he plays. And nearly every year, he gets some major league time.
One and two on Kristen Norfius. Sean Marshall, the third Reds pitcher used in the game. Bouncing ball at Ramon Santiago, and that's the way things begin for San Diego here in the 7th inning. Padres with a 4-1 lead. The Reds scored in the first inning, and they were looking for big things in that first inning. They had Billy Hamilton led off with a walk, stole second, stole third, Heisey walked. And then you had the big guys coming up. Brandon Phillips bounced out to knock in a run. But Ross struck out Joey Votto. He walked a third batter in the inning in Todd Frazier, but got Bernardina to bounce out, leaving 2. Padres a 2-run home run by Rivera in the second inning. An RBI single by Chase Headley in the third. Those 3 runs starting pitcher Jeff Francis gave up. And then Logan Ondrusek walked the bases loaded in the 6th inning. Marshall came in and allowed a base hit which drove in a run by Yonder Alonso. That ball smoked by Everth Cabrera, and that one out of here. Cabrera, his first home run of the season, and the lead now the largest of the game, 5-1.
Boy, not the guy in the lineup that you would expect to hit a home run. It was a breaking ball that Sean Marshall got up and went out of here on a line. The ball didn't get much more than about 15 feet in the air. That's about the identical spot in the strike zone of the home run that Rene Rivera hit off of the starter Jeff Francis.
We talked in game 1 about significant differences you see from Dusty Baker to Brian Price as a manager, and certainly the one that's gotten the most attention is not afraid to change a lineup and flip the batting order or change the quote-unquote big guys where they hit in the order. Joey Votto going third to second. They're now in the cleanup spot. The other area Brian Price talked about frequently during spring training is, you know, he wasn't afraid to have right-handers face left-handers and left-handers face right-handers. Now, Dusty Baker would infrequently use Sean Marshall against any right-handed batters if he didn't have to. And so Marshall here in this inning alone facing 3 straight right-handed batters. Of course, Headley is a switch hitter, but 3 straight right-handed batters. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a game over the last couple of years when Marshall has been healthy, when he has gone into an inning to face nothing but right-handed batters.
I think if you look at his numbers, though, he's pretty effective against right-handers overall. I know what you're saying. I think maybe it's a case of them trying to get Marshall a little bit of work, because he, of all the relievers down there, seems to have not been out there much at all, and of course he's still trying to build up some arm strength. That's a pretty good curveball. If he had dropped that one on Everth Cabrera, it would not have left the yard.
No, and I hope nobody took what I said as sitting here now second guessing 3 batters into an inning that Marshall's in there facing right-handers. Just certainly a difference as far as what Dusty Baker generally would allow Marshall to do compared to what, at least today, Brian Price is allowing him to do.
Well, Brian made no qualms about it. You know, when he was asked in spring training, how are you going to be different? That was one of the first things he said.
Carlos Quentin picks up his first hit of this season in just his second game with a 2-out single in the left. And he will be taken down for a pinch runner, Will Venable. So now Jed Jerko, the batter, 0 for 3. Ball one. On the ground to Frazier, and did they get the out? Barely get the out on the hustling Venable at second base to end the inning. But another run. They've scored in each of the last two, and now the Reds facing a 4-run deficit. Running in tall cotton. Chris Kalo, our stat man here today. His wife Amy there on the left. Their little one, their first, Dominic. So that was her first Mother's Day. Belated happy Mother's Day, Amy. Friend Kate hanging out with Amy today. So
in the front row.
I mean, that's tall cotton down there now. I can't even get beyond the barrier of the barrier of the barrier.
I have to sneak in to get in there.
Man. Tyson Ross has only allowed one base hit. That was a double to Chris Heisey in the 5th inning. He's walked 5, fanned 8. And he's 2-1 on Ramon Santiago. Brian Pena waits in the on-deck circle. Then we go back to the top of the order and Billy Hamilton. And he brings one with him. And unable to get it. On the glove feed is the pitcher Ross from Alonso. And that'll be a base hit for Santiago to begin the 7th inning.
Nice little bunt by Santiago there as that ball, once it gets by the pitcher, and if the first baseman fields it, if you have the kind of speed, and it doesn't have to be Billy Hamilton burning speed, but you see the pitcher at that point, he's got to reach behind him to get the baseball. And as soon as you ask a pitcher to do that and step on the base at the same time, not going to work.
So now Brian Pena, he was behind the plate for Johnny Cueto's gym in game 1. Pena had 2 hits and 4 at-bats, a single, a double, scored a run. Let's see if the Reds can get something going here. And there's a play by Jerko, and that begins a double play. Wow. How about the play Jed Jerko just made?
Usually we're talking about defensive second baseman in this ballpark, Brandon Phillips. That ball was a shot by Pena. Might look like base hit all the way.
right back to the mound by Billy Hamilton. Hamilton has swung at the first pitch in each of his last 3 times up. Go to the 8th.
Can take advantage of the Memorial Weekend offer. Purchase 2 tickets for only $22 and see your Red Legs take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Plus, don't miss a weekend full of fireworks, giveaways, and more. Head to Great American Ballpark for Memorial Day weekend and take advantage of the 2 for $22 ticket deal. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or Reds.com today. And right after the game, as we always do after every Reds broadcast on Fox Sports Ohio, we'll put a capper on it with Reds Live. It's presented by King's Honda in the King's Auto Mall. You will hear some reaction, the most expanded Reds highlights on the planet, and more. It's Reds Live, the post-game edition. Back upstairs, a new pitcher for the Reds, boys.
And certainly the guy who has been the best Reds pitcher out of their bullpen this year. He stayed healthy, taking the ball when they've asked him to. Now for the 14th time, look at that ERA for right-hander Sam LeCure.
For Sam LeCure, it really doesn't matter when you put him in a ball game or how you use him. He's able to get the job done. He's got 2 plus pitches. One is that big looping curveball that he gives great arm action on. And the other is that little comeback fastball that he loves to throw on the first base side of home plate.
Jeff Francis went the first 5, allowed 5 hits, 3 runs. Did a decent job today for the Reds, bringing him up. You know, really, when they knew the team was rained out last night, they went down to the minor leagues, and it was Francis's turn to pitch what would have been today for AAA Louisville. So they brought him up here. He gave up 3 runs in 5 solid innings. But the Reds offense has only been able to muster 1 base hit against Tyson Ross. 2 hits if you include the last 2 innings, the infield hits, but nothing that has left the infield except for the double by Chris Heisey.
Yeah, with Cameron Maybin in the batter's box, worth mentioning that he's got some ties to Cincinnati. Young man that grew up in North Carolina, came up here and played amateur baseball for the Midland Redskins. Not 1 but 2 years in a row, back in 2003 and 2004. Got a note from Midland coach Brian Heiler about Maybin and Yasmani Grandal, who also had spent some time playing for the Redskins.
Of course, that was a program that was started so many years ago by Joe Hayden. Driving play by Santiago, and he throws out Maybin. What a play by Ramon Santiago.
You tell me this Reds defense isn't about as tight as we've ever seen a Reds defense. Doesn't matter who's out there. We've seen Zach Kozar make tremendous plays. But Santiago, boy, this is a dandy.
Well, the Reds have the highest fielding percentage and the fewest number of errors of any team in the major leagues. In fact, you know, we were talking about 1914 with Johnny Cueto. Today becoming the first pitcher to begin a year since 1914 with 9 straight starts, 7 or more innings, 2 runs or fewer. Well, you go back to 1914 again, and the Reds' 12 errors through the first 38 games are the third fewest of any team since that year. The Diamondbacks a season ago had 8 errors in the first 38 games. And in 2009, the Phillies had 11.
Well, if you don't think that there's a direct relationship between how pitchers pitch and how your defense plays, you haven't watched enough baseball, because there is. I mean, one booted ball that may not even go for an error. This may go for an infield hit instead of that play being made like the one we see with Santiago. Just think of the number of pitches that good defense saved a pitcher from throwing, and how many more times a manager has to go to the bullpen when those plays are not made. So errors are really only part of the story. It's making those, it's taking hits away, and that's what this Reds defense does.
LeCure wanted that pitch, didn't get the call. 2-2 on Rivera.
I don't know if the catcher doesn't have to move his glove even a centimeter, shouldn't you just ring him up on general principles?
I know you as a pitcher would certainly feel that way. Still 2-2 on Rene Rivera.
Of course, it was Rivera that got that pitch pretty much middle in. One of the few mistakes that Jeff Francis made tonight, and strong enough to pop it on out of here for a 2-run home run back in the second inning.
2-2 the count on Rivera. And he lifts it to straightaway center field. 2 out. Now Yonder Alonso, he knocked in a run with a base hit his last time up in the 6th inning. That was a single off Sean Marshall. Alonso had hit a line drive right off the body of Francis, who threw him out in the 2nd. He lined out to Billy Hamilton in the 5th. And that was after hitting a couple of rockets in an 0-3 Game 1 performance. 1-1 on Yonder Alonso. Alonso's really slimmed down. You can tell his body looks dramatically different from where it looked a couple of years ago. He wanted to lose weight during this offseason. And Bud Black's not so sure that when all was said and done, if maybe he didn't overtrain by dropping all of that weight. Hard to say. You can never, get on a player, and he wasn't, about trying to get in better physical condition, especially coming off a year where you're injured. That's in the air to right field. Bernardino will watch it fly, and Yonder Alonso has clubbed his first home run of the season. And that'll make it a 6-1 game. Will be our Nissan drive of the game. So the Reds bullpen getting kicked around here today. Andrusic gave up a run, Marshall gave up a run, and now LeCure has given up a run. Strike one to Seth Smith. Smith batting for the pitcher, Tyson Ross, who goes 7 innings today. Boy, and after watching the first inning, you'd have never believed he'd have made it through 7.
You're right about that.
Gave up 3 hits.
Walked the first 2 batters that he faced. Walked Hamilton on a 3-2 pitch. Then he walked Chris Heisey on 4 consecutive pitches. And looked like the Reds were going to have a big inning. As it turned out, they only got 1 out of that. And that kind of set the pace of the ball game. That and the fact that the only 1-2-3 inning that Tyson Ross had was there in the 2nd inning at the bottom of the order. A couple of them chased the first pitch they saw.
Told you Yonder Alonso getting his first home run there, and the entire team, neither coaches nor the players, were going to give him a high five. Still waiting on that first home run of the year. And then after he started to walk back up into the tunnel, they came sprinting to get him. Well, the time he was here for the Reds, Chris, you and I had a time to spend with Yonder Alonso. He is one terrific young man. Easy guy to root for.
Well, you're not kidding about that. What he had gone through growing up after his family had defected or emigrated from Cuba to South Florida, lived down in Miami. His father working several different jobs just to get by, living in a small, not even a multi-room house. Wasn't it just like 1 or 2 rooms overall? Right. All the family in there. He would leave baseball practice at University of Miami to go help his dad with a cleaning job that he had. So he had a study. He helped his dad clean office buildings. And here he is in the major leagues. He is the kind of kid you root for.
No doubt about it.
Wonder if he's thinking, I'm glad I hit that here at Great American Ballpark and not out there at Petco. You got a chance to run that one down at Petco.
3-2 to count. In the air, left field off the bat of Smith, and waiting is Heisey, and the inning is over. The home run by Yonder Alonso makes it a 6-1 San Diego lead.
The pitch by pitch, it's all about Tyson Ross and his strikeouts, and he's had some good ones up there. He's had the slider working, as Joey Votto will attest to. He struck out Votto 3 times, got Roger Bernardina on the same pitch, and has really been able to be in control. Tyson Ross did, after having a very rough start in the first inning where he walked the 2 batters he faced, ending up going 7 innings of 8 strikeout, 1-run baseball. Very similar to his line last week, almost identical actually to his line when he pitched on the 10th of May against the Miami Marlins. He went 7 innings of 1-run, 8 strikeout baseball. And now Nick Vincent, right-hander, will come in and take over for Ross.
And a couple of changes on defense. Denorfia goes from right field to left field, and taking over in right is Venable. You look at the numbers on Nick Vincent. 2, 3, and 4 in the Reds batting order, as they are down by 5 and 6 outs to play with. Batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. Now Vincent allowed a run on Saturday and has now allowed 5 runs over his last 5 outings. He only gave up 1 run in his first 11 games of the year. In fact, he had a stretch of 20 straight batters retired through the first month of this season. There's a fly ball that'll back up Venable, and that's out number 1 here in the Reds' 8th inning. And as you continue to tweet your photos using the hashtag #OhioFanPhoto, here's tonight's fan photo of the game, brought to you by AT&T. Melissa, thank you very much.
Now, one thing you can say about Nick Vincent, he does not walk too many batters. He has only walked 2 in 16 games so far this year, and both of those walks came in the first 3 appearances of the year for him.
Tell you one thing this San Diego team will do, and you and I were talking about, when you can pitch, and their pitching has been second only so far through nearly the first 25%, nearly the first quarter of the year. Only Atlanta has a lower ERA than San Diego. They will present teams some problems this year with how well they pitch.
Well, you hang in ball games. I mean, you're always there when you pitch. You can turn what looks like might be a blowout loss into a close loss by just hanging in there. And you don't need a lineup of superstars to do that. You just need a good, solid pitching staff. And that's one reason why I think a lot of people, and Eric Karros in the game that you worked today on FS1, optimistic about the Reds because they can pitch. And when you get Matt Latos back, and the pitching staff is, and of course, lefty back coming this weekend, you're healthy, and everybody is in the spot where they should be in that either the rotation or in the bullpen. I mean, that's really what the calling card of this Reds team is pitching and defense. And they're having a hard time scoring runs right now, but still, even when they have a hard time scoring runs, they're in a lot of games.
I mean, if it goes like it's going right now, and there's still time to change that, but the Reds will go in this 3-game series, and they will have scored 7 runs as Phillips is going on strikes. 7 runs in a 3-game series against this San Diego team.
Now 91 miles an hour on that strikeout, a flamethrower strikeout brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Yeah, 5 of those 7 came in this afternoon's game.
Well, now Joey Votto, certainly he's the happiest man in the Reds lineup to see Tyson Ross gone. Ross fanned Votto 3 times swinging. And there's a walk to Votto. That is the 6th walk issued by San Diego pitching in this game. 5 by the starter, 1 now the reliever Vincent. Frazier has walked, lined out to right, and extended the hitting streak to 14 games with an infield single in the 6th. Oh, and 1 to Todd Frazier, and that one sails away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Reds scored the first run of this game in the opening inning. San Diego has scored 6 times on 9 hits since. And the Reds have yet to answer those 6 runs, and they're down 5 and down to their final 4 outs on the night. Reds won game 1 of this doubleheader behind Johnny Cueto 5-0. Cueto, his 3rd complete game, his 2nd shutout of the year, tossing a 3-hitter.
You know, Vincent on the radar gun doesn't throw all that hard. He's only getting up there around 89, 90, 91 miles an hour. He reminds me a lot of their closer, Houston Street. Not a big guy, but the ball seems to come out of his hand in a deceptive way. Seems like he's throwing harder than he really is.
Frazier not sure about that 3-1 pitch. Full count. And it's strike 3 called on the outside corner. We are on our way to the ninth. San Diego in front, 6-1. National League MVP Andrew McCutchen and the Pirates take on Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees. It'll get underway at 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Hot dog, John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Not any hot dog, John Morrell. And the leaping grab made by Roger Bernardina. That was a ball off the bat of the pitcher Tyson Ross. And how about Ramon Santiago? This Reds defense has just been unbelievable through the early part of this year. And as Chris said earlier, it really doesn't matter who's in there, whether it's Cozart, Santiago, Schumacher, Heisey, Bruce, any position you want to name. They are getting it done.
Well, the Reds figured this would be a bullpen type of a game, figuring up they're going to bring an emergency starter up. Jeff Francis, he went 5 innings of 5-hit 3-run baseball. The big hit against him was that 2-run homer in the second inning. But then turn it over to now the 4th reliever of the game, J.J. Hoover. Every one of the previous 3 has given up a run.
One and one on Denorfia. And a swing and a miss. Denorfia 2-hit game, doubled back in the 3rd inning, scored a run. He singled in the 5th. And J.J. Hoover going to work, a 1-2 count. And it's still at 1-2. Well, you talk about an odd pitching line. You look at that San Diego pitching line, 7 innings from Ross, the 1 inning from Vincent. Only 3 hits allowed, 1 run allowed, 10 strikeouts, and 6 walks. Three and 2 on Denorfia. Reds will not see San Diego again for quite some time. They'll make their way to San Diego just prior to the 4th of July weekend. That'll be June 30th, July 1st, July 2nd at Petco Park. 3-2 pitch swung on and missed by Denorfia. 1 out. And you can catch Fox Sports Ohio's coverage no matter where the Reds go during this entire year with MLB.TV Premium. Visit Reds.com for more details. Reds will be flying to Philadelphia after the game, and we take a look at the pitching probables. We know that Simon and Bailey will start in the front 2 with a goal of Cingrani in Game 3. Kyle Kendrick in Game 1. Hard to believe Cole Hamels winless with an ERA of almost 5.5. Of course, if there is one pitcher that has just dominated seemingly the Reds, and of course the one we all remember was in the playoffs going all the way back to 2010. But Hamels has battled through injuries the last couple of years along with just plain ineffectiveness. Does not have a win.
And the Phillies have lost 3 in a row. They are 4 games under 500 in last place in that National League East.
And the Reds will see their ace, Cliff Lee, in the series finale on Sunday. Well, you know, you talk about and not to take anything away from Kyle Kendrick, he's been a good pitcher for a number of years now, not off to a bad start this year, ERA-wise anyway. But how about the 4 in a row the Reds are going to be facing in Cole Hamels? And maybe I'm thinking about the Cole Hamels of a day gone by, but it's still Cole Hamels.
Sure it is.
Cliff Lee, Steven Strasburg in the first game of the National Series. And then a guy who's in his first year with the Nationals, and Doug Fister, who was a mighty good pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. Of course, if your other team's facing the Reds, you're saying the very same thing. So 3-2 on Everth Cabrera. Second batter in a row that Hoover has gone the distance with. in the air, foul territory, and that went out of play. The at bat for Cabrera continues. Another foul ball.
That's it, Kevin.
Ninth pitch in his at bat coming to Everett Cabrera. And did he go around? They did on the appeal. And JJ going to pick it up after the ball was blocked by Tucker Barnhart. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hoover here in the ninth inning.
Heck of a block right there by Tucker Barnhart. That ball wasn't even close to being a strike. You know, those balls that bounce way in front of home plate are the hardest ones to block. Especially when it's a breaking ball like this. It's going to spin and bounce opposite of which way it's spinning. In fact, he got it right on the shin guard. If he had moved his body over there, he'd have no chance.
Two to Chase Headley. And now Hoover trying to finish off the Padres here in the top of the ninth, and it's popped up. So Hoover with a 1-2-3 inning. Good for him. Reds will bat in the bottom of the ninth inning. They trail by 5. Brought to you by Chevy. Visit your Tri-State Chevy dealer today. And by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, ranked #1 in the United States in pediatric cancer care, according to U.S. News and War Report's best children's hospitals in America. Padres lead 6-1. Reds bat in the bottom of the ninth inning in the second game of this day-night doubleheader. The Fan Express to Reds Country back on the road this season. To get your group on board the Fan Express, give the Reds group sales a call at 513-765-7600. As always, we thank our entire Fox Sports Ohio crew during this homestand, led by our producer Josh Hall, our director Mr. Roy Alfers. Coordinating producer of Reds Baseball, Bob Pennell. Our associate producers, Kevin Pennewitt and Lauren White. Pardon me, Lauren. Reds Live produced by Matt Sigafus. And the executive producer for Fox Sports Ohio is Tom Farmer. We thank Jesse Jackson, Chris Kalo is always up here in the booth, and Dickie Moss. A series win over Colorado to begin this homestand. An opening game loss in this series, a heartbreaker, 2-1 on the home run by Headley against Chapman in the 9th inning, game 1. Johnny Cueto, spectacular. A 3-hit shutout in the first game of this doubleheader. But ever since the first inning, it's been all San Diego here in game 2. And they once more will go to their bullpen.
Well, they brought up Kevin Quackenbush for this, and he was the, when you play a doubleheader nowadays, according to the new basic agreement between players and owners, you're allowed to bring up a 26th player for that particular day. And he is the 26th player. Quackenbush is.
High fly ball off the bat of Roger Bernardina, and that will be easy for Venable. 1 away.
Been pitching in the bullpen down in El Paso for the Chihuahuas. 13 games has a 1.3 earned run average and 6 saves.
Boy, I bet those people in El Paso go crazy over that nickname, Chihuahuas. I'm being serious when I say that.
How do you figure?
I just bet they really embrace it and love it. El Paso, that town right on the Mexican border. There's a ground ball down to first base, and the Reds are down to their final out. The Chihuahuas. And our Miller time moment, the 2-run home run by Rene Rivera coming in the 2nd inning. That put San Diego in front. It looks like to stay, and made it 2-1. And here the Reds are down to their final out in the 9th. Ramon Santiago, the batter, and looks at a strike. One and two on Ramon Santiago. One and two the count, and that's strike 3 called, and that will tie a ribbon around this one. San Diego pitching, striking out 11 Reds in the back end of this day-night doubleheader, en route to a 6-1 win and a series win. That's the first road series win of this season for San Diego. So 6-1 the final. The Reds on their way to Philadelphia for 3, Washington D.C. for 3, and we're on our way to Reds Live beginning right now.